Okay, we're up to part 8 of the Troy ISS security versus Troy Aggett. In this part here, we're going to cover a few more of the allegations process, and then eventually we will get into the court case and how that went, and further tactics that I used to enable me the opportunity to represent myself in court for free. It's always good when it doesn't cost you money. So they go on to say that none of the letters written by Mr. Aggett stated any legal basis for claim against ISS, and for this reason solicitors informed they did not wish to respond to the correspondence, and they did not want to engage in communication with Mr. Aggett, and it would encourage further conduct. So in relation to that, when they try and stop talking to you, which they will because it's costing them money every letter they write, they don't want to spend money on someone like you. So the idea is to find ways to engage them again where they bite the hook and you get them on the line again. So it was at this point that I actually started asking for, where do you keep a copy of your contract? Now they knew that I could get documents from within their office. They knew that. And then I would supply them to evidence to the AFP, and then I would FOI the documents back, and they'd all be stamped Freedom of Information because the AFP doesn't care about ISS at all. So coming down to that, it's just a matter of writing a few more letters until they bite, and you just change your tactics. Ask them for where do they keep copies of certain documents, ask them for resolutions, ask them for anything that can possibly get a response. You have to ask something. Failing all that, I'd put the offer forward to them that I was going to pay the uni students $50 each to come and protest out the front of their office, and I can assure you that gets a response very quickly. So they go on to say Mr. Aggett's correspondence 31st of January 2008 to Emma enclosed internal memorandum from Charles Blinkworth to ISS Security dated January 18, 2008, which was distributed to ISS staff working at the Brisbane airport. The memorandum alleged, however, a clearer copy of the memorandum is exhibited in this affidavit as PB22. His correspondence also endorsed a minute to the AFP manager, professional standards. The minutes appear to be an internal document of the AFP relates to the complaint made by Neil Pitkin. It concerns me that Mr. Aggett has enclosed these two documents in his correspondence to Emma, one of which is an internal security document and the other appears an internal AFP document. I do not know how he obtained either of these documents. Okay, lesson number 1 to ISS world. Public officials, Commonwealth officials, anybody working for a government department, any government department involved, any complaint to a government department opens all documents to Freedom of Information. It costs about $30 and you can get anything they give you, supply you, respond to you, the whole lot. Simple as that. That's how you get documents. If you're not a government official and you don't work for a public official office or you aren't part of the public sector, it is so easy for you to obtain documents using one of these avenues. If you were to, say, work for ISS Security and you had a complaint to make and you needed documentation in relevance to that complaint to justify your case, it is a simple matter as writing to someone like the Commonwealth Ombudsman, supplying them with the information you've got, or to aviation security, to any government authority you want. You supply them the documentation to back up your claims. And then once you've done that, you can then FOI those documents back for public release. It's not complicated, very easy to do. So when you're under security contracts where they say to you, oh, you can't talk about this and you can't disclose this to another party, you can disclose whatever you like to the policing authority of that section. So if you're in aviation, you go to the aviation government sector. If you're under, or you can go to the federal police, or you can go to your state police. You can take it to any authority legally allowed to investigate internals of your operations. If you're in a supermarket, you can use the Ombudsman, you can use Centrelink even. You'd be surprised how you can use Centrelink to get documents so that you can release them for public release. And there's nothing your employer can do about it. They can't stop it, they can't prevent it, and they must provide everything that you state on your complaint relevant to the case. So if you know of an internal memorandum that you want to get your hands on, all you have to do is state it in the document. It's simple as that. They have to provide it. And then you FOI your case file back and the document will come to you. Stamped, Freedom of Information, open for public release. Private sectors believe they are protected and they can't be FOI'd. But government sectors can be. So you manipulate your cause through any particular government authority that you find relevant to your particular industry, and you can get any document you want. So the internal document they're referring to was actually defamatory to me. They were actually running me down. The document they then referred to as the one they disseminated to the staff of ISS Security was actually doctored, and that was no longer in there. The one they supplied to evidence to the AFP was different yet again. So there was actually 3 documents of the same document with bits taken out because they were defaming me beyond belief in the first document. So that's why they were so upset, because the internal document, and when I went to court, the judge said, did you get this off the internet or the intranet? And I told him, I got this particular document off the internet, but it's not the original document. The original one is defaming me. So they then turned around and said, no, Your Honour, it's off the intranet, the internal email. And I said, no, it's available on your website. That's where I photocopied this one from. So they argued that, and then the judge turned to him and asked him, is it on the internet? Can anyone access it? And they said, I'll check with the manager. So they went to Peter Beadle, who was there on the day, sitting at the back of the room. And they said to him, is this on the internet? He said, a similar copy is, which is the copy I had. But I also had the other 2 copies. Now, when that was put back to the judge went, and? So what? It's on the internet. What do you want me to do about it? You published it. Yeah, but not that particular document. There's a couple of words that have changed. And they go, well, who cares? The government doesn't give a shit about these private companies. That's what people misunderstand, and they need to really get their heads around, is when you drag a government into private sector business, they don't give a shit about private sector. You're a private business. We don't care about you from a government perspective. You are merely a meal ticket for certain industries to get information, and that's it. They're not here to protect you. The government's not going to protect a private company. The AFP buddied up with the ISS because they needed information from ISS about things that happened in the airport. AFP doesn't break cases on its own back. The Australian Federal Police break cases by snitches. They need snitches. So to have snitches, you need to maintain some sort of friendship with snitches, which is why corruption is rife in Australia. It has to be. We deal with corrupt countries around the world. You can't deal with them if you're not corrupt yourself. So they need snitches. But to be snitches, snitches get leverage. So if you don't help us out, we won't snitch for you anymore. So you can see how the AFP is forced to agree with organisations like ISS Security, which is part of ISS World, or was part of ISS World. They've now sold that all off to Wilson's. So you can understand how come they had to party up with this company just a little bit to keep them all nice and happy, and let's keep the snitching going so that nobody gets hurt. we'll catch up in part 9.